on the Texas A&M Sports Network. From Learfield, welcome to the Aggie Football Hour, brought to you by Capital Farm Credit, a leader in agricultural financing. Also brought to you in part by Coors Light, Choose Chill, and Gig 'em Aggies. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit rudys.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. Twisted Tea, hard iced tea for the 12th man. Please drink responsibly. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas. Through it all. And by Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. Now, the Aggie Football Hour, brought to you by Capital Farm Credit, a leader in agricultural financing. Here's the voice of the Aggies, Andrew Monaco.
And away we go. 4-1, the Fighting Texas Aggies after a 21-17 win over the Arkansas Razorbacks in Arlington. I'm not sure there's a sweeter trip back home from Arlington than with a victory. It's the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko, presented by Capital Farm Credit with the head coach. Howdy, Mike.
Howdy. Good to be back. Good to see everybody tonight.
It is wonderful to see everyone. Thank you all for coming out here at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road in College Station. Good win.
Is there such thing as a bad win? No, I mean, when you end the game and you got more points than them, it's on to the next for sure.
I know you were here and then you left and you come back, but it's the same old game against Arkansas. Did it feel that way to you?
Yeah, it certainly, you anticipated it going in that way. You always hope that it won't play out like that, but it always seems to. And then, I feel like we start real good on the first drive on defense, and next thing you know, their kids running into the end zone, and then it feels like we're kind of stalling out on offense, and the next thing you know, Noah's running into the end zone, and that just seems like the Texas A&M Arkansas game in Dallas Cowboy Stadium, and so it certainly kind of resonated that way early, and then for us to find a way to win and do the things we did down the stretch, I thought was really big.
Boy, the ebbs and flows, but I love something you said on Monday. The resolve of this team and the response at times of this team was really something special, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, listen, we didn't play our best game on offense. We know that. I think all of our offensive kids know that as well, but the responses that we had, we thought was great. We got down 7-0. We rallied to go 7-7 real quick. We got down 14-7. We tied it up 14-14 real quick, and then we stalled for so long. And then the second Arkansas scored 17-14, we went right down and took the lead right back. And so, you want that. You want an offense that's able to kind of respond at the right times, at the right moments. And for all the ups and downs, we certainly did that the right way.
Never really allowed Arkansas to keep the momentum that they got with the big plays. That's
right.
Also part of responding, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think where we're at right now, and we talk about this a lot in our building, and it just kind of is like the game control and keeping touch and not losing touch, and not, we've been fortunate that hasn't happened to us, because as we're building this thing, and obviously we've got to get there, but as we're building this thing, we don't want to be chasing games. That's not the right recipe for us to be successful and win football games right now, and so that's really important.
And by doing that, you didn't become one-dimensional, right? That Arkansas didn't know, okay, A&M's going to have to pass every down. You could do that. And as that game went on, Mike, we were talking before, that's always a line of scrimmage game. The Aggies won that line of scrimmage as that game kept going, didn't
it? As the game kept going, and that's what we did. We just kept fighting and slugging away, and I thought our defensive line controlled it for the most part all game, and I thought our offensive line didn't play its best early, but down the stretch when we needed them to step up, they certainly did. And I thought all day we did a really nice job pass protecting, and it's another step forward, and it's another step in the right direction.
117 yards for Le'Veon Moss. You and I talked early. He'd like to get all those carries. He's changed his body to be able to do that, and in the fourth quarter, demoralizing. And when Arkansas thought they had one more chance, Le'Veon got the first down and took all that hope away.
Yeah, it's you have so much confidence in him with where he's at right now. He's in a really good headspace. Mentally, he's really locked in with what he's trying to do. Physically, he's in a really good spot. His body feels great. He's able to churn those yards out. And unfortunately, he got dinged up a little bit throughout part of the game. So when he showed up in the fourth quarter, he was about as fresh could be. And that's not a good sign for an opposing defense. And so, he was able to not only put together the big drive that helped us win the game or take the lead, but was also obviously the guy that kind of ran us out. So it was great.
Nice to be able to bring in an Amari Daniels, and the play that stands out to me is the pass pro. His pass protection has gotten so much better since he has been here. He's more of a complete back now, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so, and in the throw game as well. And I think that's one of the things we really challenged him on was, again, we always talk about him as being a great ball carrier, and that's what he's always been. But if he wants to take his game to the next level, he's got to be able to do those things. And, there were a couple times where he put his helmet right underneath the chin of a blitzer, and he's done that quite a few times this year. And so we're getting a lot of confidence in him in doing those things.
We're just getting started. We're going to talk about the Aggie Players of the Week, and and also an SEC Player of the Week, someone who was really, really key with his left foot. When the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko, it's presented by Capital Farm Credit, rolls on from Rudy. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Howdy, Ags. Play the Texas Lottery today for your chance to win exciting prizes. And remember, luck happens to people like Jay Johnson, who keep a lookout for chances to win from the Texas Lottery. Jay won Texas A&M prizes. You could too. Texas Lottery supports Texas education and veterans. Scratch 'em tickets and gig 'em. Jay won 2 tickets and a 2-night hotel stay for LSU weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's time to make friends with Jay Johnson.
For sure.
is what it is. It's the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. To the Players of the Week, as selected by the Aggies, the offensive lineman, Trey Zune.
Yeah, it seems like this becomes an every week thing right now. Trey's playing really well. We talked about it last week, but I just think he continues to be the anchor for our offensive line. And the better he plays, the more it allows us to kind of leverage his talents and kind of help the other guys out. And he's been huge. He's been a great leader for us. Plays extremely hard, and it's excited to see him continue to have success.
Especially when he's got to go up against some very special edge rushers in the SEC, right?
Yeah, for sure. And that's going to be a constant theme every single week now as we get into the thick of SEC play. Is there's no shortage of great defensive linemen in this conference, and so every week it's a challenge, and we just hope he continues to respond.
On the D-line, Nick Scorton.
Yeah.
Nick was a difference maker.
Yeah, we could have given Nick a lot of awards for this week, and I actually I joked with him a little bit when we'll get to Tyler, I'm sure, in the SEC Special Teams Player of the Week. I said, geez, Nick, apparently you didn't do enough to warrant any mention this week for what you did, but certainly took the game over. I thought pressured the quarterback, had 2 sacks, had the big strip sack to end the game, and probably got held about 4 times too, in addition to the sacks that he had. And he was a disruptive force all day.
Yeah, and did that force Arkansas to either use a tight end as an extra blocker or maybe pass protect a little bit more? I'm not saying take it out of their game, but you got to know where 11 is.
You certainly should.
Yeah,
certainly should.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that was the first time he really truly got unhinged. And I think what happens sometimes is there's these ebb and flows where initially everyone pays a ton of attention to him, and then like we talked about last, then maybe the production isn't quite what you would think, and then maybe somebody relaxes and doesn't give him the attention. And then all of a sudden the production jumps up because he's not dealing with double teams all day, and he's not getting chipped, and he's not and then all of a sudden midway through the game now they're having to adjust. I think sometimes it happens like that. That's why I think you see some of these ebbs and flows production-wise, and I think then people take a peek at him and they go, oh, okay, now all of a sudden Shamar Turner and Shamar Stewart get loose, right? I just think that's why a lot of those ebbs and flows happen over the season, because we have some talented players. It's hard to kind of take advantage or game plan for all of them.
But Nick's motor's always running.
Always.
Right? That's the thing. You may not see him doing it because there is so much attention.
Yeah.
But he's going to do it every single snap.
No, he's a relentless effort guy. He plays extremely hard. He's really physical. He's a great leader. He's everything you want an Aggie to be, for sure. Offensive
Player of the Week for you guys. Le'Veon Moss, 117 yards. Not a lot of carries.
Not a lot of carries. No, he's 9 yards a carry, I think, is what he wound up averaging. And it was just another great day for him. And I think he just continues to get more and more comfortable with the run schemes, how we want to run the ball, the angles, the entry points. We talk about that a lot. Like, that's such a huge difference. in terms of being a successful back is knowing how to hit the angles of the runs, and I think he gets more comfortable every week. And so, he's a great football player.
Before the end of the first half, Des Ricks picked up his first interception. He was the defensive player of the week.
He was. We gave him the award, and then we almost took it away for some of the things he did at the end of the game, but that's okay. We handled that kind of behind the scenes a little bit with him. But no, it was great. We got a lot of confidence in Des. Des is extremely talented, and as he's grown into this role and gotten more and more comfortable each week, it made his first start, and I thought he did a really, really good job in pass coverage, and I think he'll just continue to get better and better. People forget he's a kid who reclassed, and so This is really his freshman year.
Right.
Even though it's his second year of college, it's really his what should be his first year because he didn't have a senior year in high school, and so he's got a bright upside, bright future.
Boy, that entire secondary, we constantly talk about competition amongst everybody. They compete with one another all week to get that time on Saturday, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and that's what you want the program to be, right? You want this growth mindset. You want to be developing. You want to be getting better. We talked about this like coming out of the Notre Dame game and really going into the season, but specifically coming out of the Notre Dame game, like playoff teams are made a lot of different ways, right? And obviously we're one that has to get better every single week. That's part of year one in a new program. We're not going to walk out on the field day one ready-made what we want to be or what we're capable of being. But if we attack this thing every week and keep improving, and then a lot of that is in practice, right? And it's the competition, and those kids are battling with each other every week for reps, and then you reward the guys that are playing really well, and that's what we've tried to do.
Are you seeing that improvement through 5 weeks?
Yeah, I think so. And again, I'm a coach. I say this all the time. I'm the worst person to ask because, for every play, I see the one guy who doesn't do it the way we wanted to, or why we didn't do that. Like, that's all I see. Like, that's just the coaching mindset, right? And so, but yeah, I think when you take a step back and you really look at it, I think there's been a lot of growth and still a lot more to go for sure, and a lot of things we got to do. But if you just look at some of the details of how we're doing things, it's continuing to get better and better, and so we just got to keep up with that.
Special teams, also the special team player of the week in the SEC, Tyler White. He had 9 punts, 7 were inside the 20. At the 8, the 9, the 7, the 15, the 7, a touchback, the 10, the 15, and the 10. So in the game, Arkansas's average starting field position was the 18-yard line.
Yeah, no, Tyler was an absolute weapon. I mean, an absolute weapon. And he's there's a lot of different types of punters out there, and Tyler's blessed with a very strong leg, and then he can kick the ball a country mile anytime he wants to. But, what we've challenged him to do is placement, hang time. Like, that creates net punt, which creates field position advantages, which creates winning football. And so, you can go out, kick your coverage. You can not put the ball where we want to put it from a coverage perspective and look great to the naked eye. But, I think as Tyler's kind of embraced that, now I think you're seeing both legs of it, right? Like, now he's hitting these 58-yard punts that people are having a fair catch because of the hang and how he's hitting them, and so he's turned into an absolute weapon for us.
And especially with a Satania back there as your punt returner. If you outkick that coverage, he's got that 10, 15-yard head start, and then that's really dangerous, right?
Yeah, and that's the other thing in this league, right? You talk about what are there a dime a dozen? There's edge rushers, there's skilled players on wide receivers, and there's someone back there who's extremely dangerous catching punts every single time you play a game, and this week's no different. And so, it's how you control that. Your punter plays such a big role in it, and so he's embraced that part of it.
To have to go the average starting field position, 18, to know that you have to go 82 yards for a touchdown, it gets to a team, right? They didn't have a short field in that game. Teams love to have that short field, so that it's like, okay, even to get into a field goal, they've got to go some yards. Yeah. So that's important. A&M was at the 34, the 34-yard line, which was good, again, because of a forced fumble that you get it at the 10.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's hidden yards you always hear in special teams, right? That was a big part of a 21-17 win, wasn't it?
No, for sure. And if you look at our winning formula, and we talk about things I think that sometimes not everyone talks about, but like turnovers obviously for sure is number one, and you win the turnover battle 3-0. And then the second thing we talk about is what we define as special teams game changers, which is explosive plays on special teams. And we have a chart and a formula for how we calculate that. And we were +4 even though we gave up the quasi-fake punt, we were still +4 on special teams. And so if you win the turnover battle by 3 and you're +4 in special teams, like, you're not going to lose very much. And so that's how you overcome maybe not playing as efficiently as you want in some areas of the game, or how you don't exactly play your best football. You still come out with a win because you're controlling the game. And that matters. And then that's just learning how to play winning football. And I think we've been learning how to do that week to week.
Will Lee III was really good breaking up passes throughout that game against more than just one. In the past, it's been like Treylon Burks and there were some other guys.
Yeah.
They was usually at a tight end. They're deeper at wide receiver, so you really needed that coverage in the secondary, didn't you? Yeah,
for sure. And we talked a lot about, the enhancements in the secondary and going out and getting guys that can help. And, and again, the holdovers still continue to do a good job, but there just wasn't a lot of them. And Will Lee was one of the first guys we went out and got, and he's been great. I mean, he's been great for us. And again, I see the things he's got to get better at, but he's been phenomenal, and he's got to continue to do that. And he certainly is going to have his hands full this weekend. And so it's another step forward for him.
Yeah, really good wide receiving crew for Missouri. And that's what's up next for the Aggies. Missouri on Saturday at 11 o'clock at Kyle Field. A top 25 matchup between the Aggies and the Missouri Tigers. More to come on the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. The Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko is brought to you by Capital Farm Credit, the largest agricultural lender in Texas. Capital Farm Credit, together, we're better. We continue with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, 4-1 after the win over Arkansas and Missouri on Saturday. We'll get to that in our next half hour. But here we go, Coach. Apex, North Carolina, obviously, at the top of this list. Cape Canaveral, Pittsburgh, Savannah, Moore, Oklahoma, the state of Connecticut, Belton, South Carolina, and Memphis. San Antonio and Lucas, and Belton and Flatonia and Gilmer, Temple and Lubbock. And Mo has checked in from Doha, Qatar.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Worldwide.
How we doing, Qatar?
We're good. We're good. We're huge.
Good.
We're huge. Shout out. We have a campus.
Shout out to the crew in Apex. Always got to make sure we do that. They're not in town this weekend. So big weekend this weekend. Homecoming.
Oh, is it?
Yes, we got Friday nights, the homecoming game, and then Saturday, my daughter and son going to the homecoming dance. And so,
okay.
Had to kind of stress to my wife it's probably important that she stays there.
Good point.
Does that and takes the pictures and all those things. And so she's going to be a mom this week. And
good point.
I'll probably be killing her at 11 o'clock on Saturday, but she'll be there.
She's undefeated though, right? When she's. Right, the Elko. We saw the Elko era sneakers last week, and she got the Lucchese boots.
She had the Lucchese
as
boots.
Well.
Yeah, she was rolling.
Yeah, she was. She's thrilled for your new head job.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
In that game against Arkansas, you have a fake punt, also a fake field goal. Let's go to the fake punt. Was that a matter of Devin Bale just reading as opposed to a fake right off the bat, going rugby style and reading that and running?
Yeah, that's what it looked like to us. He went rugby and we didn't fit it the way we had hoped we would. And again, I'll take the ownership on that for not doing a good enough job of getting that situated for our guys. And so as the shield moved and the rugby moved, there just became a wide open lane, and he just took off and went. And so poor by us, but we'll get it corrected and get it fixed and certainly make sure it doesn't happen again.
Fake field goal for Arkansas. They have 10 on the field. They rush the 11th in. They have to call timeout. Does that put the alarm bells out that something may occur after that timeout by Arkansas?
Yeah, maybe to some degree, but I think we were in good shape. I think we kind of had a feeling on that one because their kicker hadn't been awesome, and it's not to disrespect him, but he hadn't been lights out, and 50 we felt like was kind of right on the edge of the range a little bit, and it was kind of right in that area. We actually had thought third down into fourth down they were trying to set it up to go for it is kind of what we were thinking. So when they brought the field goal kicker out there, that kind of started it, and then I thought Will Lee did a great job. As Will Lee on that play, kind of blowing that thing up, and so did a great job staying disciplined.
You talked about on Monday a little bit of that rut. The drive would get to the 40 and then kind of stop, or a 3 and out. How do you push through that so that the drives are more productive?
Yeah, it's funny. We talked about this. We actually had a long conversation with this at the team after practice today. Like, a lot of what we're also training is the mental edge to be a championship level football team, right? As much as it's about football and technique and plays and all of those things that everybody wants to talk about, you also have to challenge yourself mentally to be able to stay focused consistently over long periods of time. And again, that's not to put it all on them. We've got to do a better job. We've got to call plays better. We've got to be better ourselves for sure. But when you look at what their job is and what they can do as players, it's just the ability to consistently repeat actions over long periods of time. When you look at a football game, we always talk about this, it's 3.5, 4 hours that you're talking about having to be locked in as a 19-year-old who's, generally speaking, used to being locked in for about 30 seconds. Right. And so when you talk about that, 3.5 hours is an awful long time.
Yeah. With the new timing, in the last couple of years, there hadn't seemed to be as many drives. But I think it was, 13 or 14 drives?
Yeah, it was the most.
It was a good number,
It was by far the most we've played, and I think it was probably a testament to the two defenses.
Yes.
And, there were certainly a lot more 3-and-outs on both sides of the ball in that game than there has been in the games that we've played previously. And so, it was by far the most drives we've played in a game.
2 for 2 in the red zone, and the red zone's always huge in a game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's funny because I went through this at Duke and I went through this again here. We look at it a little bit different. We spend a lot of time on the red zone, and a lot of teams kind of push the red zone off to the back end of the week, and we do it on Monday. And we do it on Monday because I want reps at it all week. I want some version of the red zone getting hit every single day, both sides of the ball. And usually when I start talking about it the first time, the coordinators look at me like I'm a little crazy. And then as it goes on, they're like, oh, yeah, this is actually pretty good. I like this. I think I'm going to take this with me. And so it's been good. Yeah, I think it's something we spend a lot of time on. It's certainly a huge part of winning football games, both sides of the ball.
Just fantastic. The fumble, the recovery, 2 runs later, Le'Veon and then Marcel. And then I just love the call to Trey Watson. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was run to perfection, thrown to perfection, caught to perfection, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there's a lot of options on that play. I think that's one of the things Colin does a really good job with in those situations is creating plays where our guys have a lot of different options. And so kind of depending on how the look plays itself out from the defense, we can go a lot of different ways with that. That could just as easily been a Le'Veon Moss handoff. And so, I think we try to build plays and structures down there around being able to react to whatever the defense throws at us and create a successful play.
I'm going to change subjects for you because I was watching 78 today out there as an offensive lineman at right tackle. When Demetrius Crownover came in, he was on the defense. He was actually listed as an athlete. At 6'8", athlete, right? He was on the defensive line. What he's doing on the offensive side, he's really an impact player, is he not?
Yeah, so I remember when we first watched him, and he was at Granby, and we put this film on in the staff room, and I'm like, holy cow, this is like, because it's not the highest level of football, so there's certainly not a lot of 6'8" kids running around on the tape, and this kid's just extremely athletic and certainly raw at that time, but you could see all of the athleticism in the body, and we had just gotten his brother or gone down the road of getting Ernest into the program, and so we started recruiting Demetrius, and he decided to join the program, and I don't even know at the time if we really knew ultimately what he would become. We just knew he was going to be a really big athlete. And then I think over time he's really kind of settled into this offensive tackle position and started to really kind of understand technique and leverage and strain and physicality and all the things that come along with being a really good offensive lineman. And his reach and his length is so good on the edge. And him and Deuce Fatheree have become a really good pair out there. And as they're still growing into the position, it's nice that we're able to kind of create a good rotation and keep them fresh. And so, they're not having to go out there and play 70 plays every single game, every single week. They're able to stay fresh and play at their best consistently.
Do you think his understanding of the defensive side of the ball helps him on the offensive side?
Yeah, I think it always does. I think, as you understand how defenses work and defenses operate, your ability to then kind of project that as an offensive lineman to anticipate and identify things, I think that always helps. The more multiple you are, the more you understand the game, the better chance you have of being successful.
When we come back, we have questions for head coach Mike Elko, and we're going to preview the Missouri Tigers. That's when we return to the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. When you need a new roof or just have a pesky leak, you want to call on the winning team at Schulte Roofing. Home of the bulletproof roof guarantee. Get the best. Visit SchulteRoofing.com. It's the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko. It's presented by Capital Farm Credits. Got some questions for you. Before I get to those, though, it is so good to see number 6 out there on defense. Eni White, it's been a while. He's got to be thrilled to be out there.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a long road back for him, and obviously it was a really rough injury, and the rehab on those injuries are so long, and so he's was able to get back probably about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and start kind of running around a little bit. And last week he was healthy enough to travel, and it's good. It's good. He's got a long way to go to just kind of get back to playing his best football, but it's good for him to be back out there and be around the guys.
Do you tell him the same thing you told Donovan Green? Look, you're not going to be Eni White that you think right off the bat. So don't get discouraged. You're going to get there.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. And it's even harder for a kid who doesn't get back for training camp. Because it's not only are you trying to get back to playing football the way you want to, but you're doing it at a time where it's not necessarily set up to be all about fundamental, right? It's you're game planning, you're knee deep in trying to get ready to beat Missouri, and here you got another kid who really needs to go back to 101 level, and we do a lot of that with him specifically, but it'll just take a little bit of time, but it's good. It's good to get him out there. He's got value in pass rush, and we'll see him on third down before long, I'm sure.
Will the bye week help for him?
For sure. I think that's one of the times where you can really kind of dial it back and get him some good quality work against some people and kind of get him back into the flow of things.
Travis's class of 67. Coach, are there drills to teach football instincts? That's to say instant decisions. For example, recovering a fumble or try to pick up that ball and advance it?
Yeah, I think so. I think we try to create a lot of different scenarios and situations to put the kids in, whether it's split-second decision-making situations or clock situations or end-of-game situations. You just try to create all of those things, and then you try to teach that stuff off of film. I think so much of that is what you emphasize when you watch the film, and sometimes you want to just talk about the play. Mm-hmm. Like, here's the play, here's the play, here's the play, but sometimes I always challenge our coaches to dial it back and make sure we're talking about how we carry the football, how we attack the football on defense, like some of those things. And then we started this thing this year, which has been, I think, really helpful. We do every Wednesday, we kind of take a cut up. Pat Dougherty, our special teams coordinator, puts together a cut up of plays that happened over the last weekend that situations weren't handled the right way and ultimately cost people games, whether it's a decision-making, end-of-game situation, something that happened in a game to somebody else that somebody lost a game because of it, and just try to continually teach those things to our guys.
It's that keeping that composure can be really hard, but it can be the best decision you make on the field, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And like for example, like we were watching, this just what happened up, and this certainly isn't to talk about any teams. I won't name the specifics, but there's a game where at the end of half, the team lines up to kick a field goal, and the field goal gets blocked, and a kid runs off the sideline, which creates a penalty, which gives the ball back to the team who tried the field goal, and then the very next play they score a touchdown, and ultimately that game ends in a three-point difference, right? Yeah. And so it's like you're just trying to just show kids those emotional mistakes that happen so that they can maybe kind of understand why in the moment making the right choice, making the right decision is so critical.
We brought up the bye week. That is next week, off next week, no show next Saturday. Steve wants to know, what do you like to do during the bye week? Do you like to watch football or go out recruiting?
I think you go out recruiting. I think the biggest challenge for the head coach is I can't go to everybody. So who do I go to, right? That's the biggest challenge I have. And so sometimes the best choice for me is to go find the one uncommitted kid. That way you don't pick which one of the 20 commits you're valuing going to his game. I think that's one of the hardest challenges for the head coach. So it becomes a little bit about younger guys. And then we'll do some practice stuff with our guys. And they've kind of limited the amount of days we're allowed on the road in the fall now. So we only get 33 total days as a staff on the road in the fall. And so when you start splitting that up amongst 11 people, it's not really that many. And so, and then kind of next Saturday, give the guys off and let them dial down and just kind of relax a little bit and kind of recharge for the back half of the season.
And also in Arlington, you got a chance to recruit. I know you were saying you can't meet with them, but they got to experience that as well. So that's another benefit of that victory, is it not?
Yeah, for sure. I think everyone kind of sees and feels what we're building here and what we're turning this thing into. And I think overall everybody's really excited about the direction this program's headed.
Missouri on Saturday. There are some questions about Missouri when we return to the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Come visit Costa Vida in South College Station for Baja-style Mexican, made from scratch daily, serving breakfast tacos, lunch, and dinner. Aggie owned and operated. That's our friend Holly Johnston, and a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. There's not only not a show next Saturday, there's not a show next Wednesday, apparently. Both these guys were very kind to say something during the break and not during. I know you wanted to.
No, I didn't. It didn't. I heard it, but I just kind of let it go. I figured at some point at the appropriate time, you'd double back and you'd get them squared away.
And I did. Missouri on Saturday. Missouri is 4-0. Stop me if you've heard this before. Coming off a bye week.
Yep.
Another team doing that. Matt Long on Facebook, our Behind the Mic, says, ask Coach how he views the film of the Missouri defense compared to the teams we have played so far.
Yeah, listen, I think everyone in this league is talented, and I think what you're trying to do is figure out how to leverage it and how to make sure you're providing the help on the right people. You know, you don't ever line up in the SEC and go, ooh, this is a great matchup. We have nothing to worry about. That's not the conference we chose to play in. And so they're a talented group. They're top 10 in the country, and we'll have a good plan put together and go out and execute it on Saturday.
Their first road game of the season. They have played 4 at home, and then I was talking with the folks from Missouri, and they said, and then after we play you guys, we're going to Amherst to take on UMass.
Yeah.
The old buddy bye game.
It's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. Missouri at UMass for sure.
It's an old schedule.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to read. I was talking to Mike Kelly, their voice, and apparently Eli Drinkwitz said this to his staff. I haven't been able to solve Mike Elko. You guys have at it. Let me know how it works out.
That's Eli being funny. So actually, Eli and I kind of developed a little bit of a close relationship when he was an offensive coordinator. I was at DC, and I think you kind of when you get to that point where you know the head coach position is coming, you kind of try to gravitate towards some people that you have like personalities with, and he was certainly one of those guys. And so we spent a bunch of time together on the phone when I was here as a defensive coordinator. I got a lot of respect for Eli, and I think. So we've gotten together. We went head-to-head 3 times where he was calling plays, and then that year we played NC State in the bowl game. That was his offense. He had left to go to App State at the time. But so it's 4 times really now going against this system. And so, I think he's joking a little bit when he says he hasn't solved what we do. He's had quite a bit of success against us as well.
I thought that was good. I don't know if fans always realize, obviously competitors, but there are relationships throughout.
Yeah.
It just happens, whether it's on the same staff as you were talking about Bowling Green and seeing everybody, or how Dave Clawson has meant so much to you at Wake Forest, things like that. It's really something. It's a special fraternity, is it not?
Yeah, it is, and you have all these different levels of it, right? Like, and there are some people who you genuinely feel good about picking up the phone and talk to, and then there's other people that you respect over mutual respect type things, and then there's just the coaching fraternity, and that always generates some different things. And so, I think there's a lot of respect I have for Eli.
Steve's other question was, how much is the running game important to long drives and keeping Missouri off the field?
Yeah, I think it's critical. I think our ability to sustain drives, however we have to go about doing it, is really important. And, we got to get the passing game unhinged a little bit, and I think we have a good plan to do that. But certainly we've made no bones about it this year that we're kind of, our bread and butter is our ability to be physical and run the football, and we got to find ways to do that as well. And so keeping them off balance, keeping ahead of the chains, those things always matter.
Mike, what I thought was impressive on Saturday against Arkansas was the plays that Marcel did not try to force. Like he lived to play another day. Here's the situation. I'm thinking, and it was more than this. The throw to Jabri Barber, that's too low, but only Jabri's going to get it. It can't be picked off. Or the decision where he tucks and doesn't force anything where the momentum could have changed. That's a growth for a young quarterback, isn't it?
Yes, for sure. And it's one of the things we talk a lot about. So we spend a lot of time in our building on what we call Football 101, and that's understanding situational football. And I think when people think about that, they immediately jump to the big ones, like 2-minute or red zone. But one of the situations that we start with every year is 1st and 10. What is the goal on 1st and 10? The goal on 1st and 10 is to get 4 yards or more, and not every single play. But if you get 4 yards or more on 1st and 10, that percentage-wise keeps you going. And so sometimes when you're sitting back there and you're looking at a 30-70 throw or a 40-60 throw, but you can get 5 yards, like that 5 yards helps the drive go and helps things move forward and keeps control of the game, right? And so we spent a lot of time on those things, and I think the first time the kids hear it, they're kind of like, whoa. But then as you go through it and you kind of talk through it and they start to see it play out, it builds confidence in them. And then how you protect the football and don't turn it over. If you look at it this year, we're 4-0 when we've won the turnover battle. We're 0-1 when we've lost it, right? And nobody wants to talk about those things, but those things are winning football, right? And that matters an awful lot too.
Digestible, right?
Yeah.
And then that adds to the confidence, doesn't it?
No doubt. And I think it's just something within our building that we're constantly pointing out, constantly talking about. Like we talk about, don't play scout team football. You can go out there on Tuesday as the offense at Texas A&M, and he can throw whatever ball he wants, right? We have talented wide receivers going against the scout team. A lot of them are going to be open on every play, but what does the coverage tell you? What are you supposed to do? What is it going to happen in the game? How is this going to really play out? And really challenging them to mentally grow. And I think he's really taken to that and gotten better every week with that stuff.
One final segment of the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko, presented by Capital Farm Credit. Come on back. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Rudy's is a proud sponsor of Aggie Football. Be sure to stop by your local Rudy's or visit rudys.com for some real Texas barbecue. Enjoy 100% oak smoked meats, delicious sides, and Rudy's signature sauce. It's like the 2-minute warning force in the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko, presented by Capital Farm Credit. How can you possibly replicate Luther on Missouri?
Oh, yeah.
Luther, he's a dynamic player. You got a lot of respect for him, don't you?
Yeah, a lot. I think, we always try to make the best comparisons we can think of, and the best one we could think of was Deebo Samuel when he was at South Carolina, and I think Luther maybe is even a little bit more of an advanced pass catcher at this point in his career, but he's a different kind of slot because he's so thick. Normally when you think of slots, you think of these twitchy athletic guys, which he is, but they're a little bit smaller in demeanor. And he's not. He is a big physical. He's not big, tall, but big physical kid. And so he can do a lot of things with the ball in his hands. They try to make sure he gets enough touches every game to impact the game. And it's really hard to keep the ball out of his hands. And so we got to try to limit his touches as best we can and try to limit his explosive plays as best we can, and certainly be aware of them, but can't do too much because they've got a lot of really talented players on this offense. Theo
Weiss has the most receptions for them. Really good running back, and Noel in the quarterback. You've got a lot of admiration for, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and I don't know why. Like nobody talks about him at the level I think they should. He's won so many games as a starter. You talk about playing the game the right way. He certainly does. He throws the ball really well. Throws the ball all over the field, but also plays the game well. Protects the football, can run, can get yards, is athletic. And so he's a really talented quarterback. He's one of the best ones in the SEC.
And their offensive line has experience, right?
Yeah,
a lot of experience up front.
Yeah, they got 3 kids who are going into their 3rd year starting. They got a couple other kids who started last year and are starting again this year. And so, we'll have our hands full.
Beat the hell out of Missouri on Saturday.
Well, that's the plan. I know Kyle Field. It has been interesting that we've had some people call out Kyle Field a little bit. I heard their quarterback say today that it's louder in practice than it will be in Kyle Field. And so, to me, that's a challenge. The 12th man, 11 a.m. Saturday. Let's get this place rocking. Let's have a heck of a day.
Thank you, Coach. This is Aggie Football from Learfield.
Yep. Thanks, guys.